It will take an act of God for Lori Vallow Daybell to ever walk free again. That was the message from Judge Justin Bereski today following a sentencing hearing that lasted nearly 3 hours in Maricopa County. It was an emotional hearing. We heard from members of Charles Vallow's family. We heard from members of Brandon Boudreaux's family, along with Brandon himself, his parents, his wife, his siblings. We heard from prosecutor Trina Kay. And yes, we heard from Lori Vallow Daybell herself. And it is the end. The end of this saga that has lasted 6 years. 6 years ago this month, Charles Vallow was shot and killed. The first, followed by then J.J. Vallow, Tylee Ryan, and Tammy Daybell over the next few months. And here we are, 6 years later, the end. Lori Vallow Daybell, if she's not already, will soon be on her way back to Idaho, where she will serve the rest of her life in the Idaho Department of Correction. She was sentenced today to the maximum penalty, 25 years to life in prison here in Arizona, consecutively, so one sentence will run after the other. She received one sentence for Charles's case, one sentence for Brandon's case, and those will be stacked with the Idaho cases, which is life, no parole, and so she really has 7 life sentences, you could say. I am still, today was such an emotional day. I don't really know how to describe it. By the way, welcome to Courtroom Insider. I'm Nate Eaton. Thanks for being here. Coming to you from Phoenix tonight. And a lot of thoughts after today. The main one being just how much admiration, appreciation, admiration, I guess is the word, for the families that spoke today, for the victims that spoke today. I can't imagine doing that. And waiting this long to confront the woman who caused the death of your brother, of the attempted death of your brother in Brandon's case, and your son. There was just a lot there, and I admire every single person who spoke. And I won't do much talking tonight. I want to play you clips from each and every single one of the victims. I can't play them very long, obviously. We can't be here all night, but you can watch the whole hearing, and we've gone through and we've separated out each of the victims who spoke today. But before we get to that, someone wrote me an email today and said, Nate, why does Lori get to speak last? The victims should have the final word. And I thought that was a really good point. So tonight, I'm going to start with Lori, and this will be the shortest person you hear tonight. So I'm going to play you a little clip. I'm a news reporter. I have to report all sides. You can go watch her complete statement. She railed against the legal system. She railed against the conditions in jail. She railed against everything, you could say. Here is a little bit of what Lori Vallow Daybell said today.
Representing myself, I have learned much about the law through this process, and I'm grateful for the knowledge that I have gained.
Okay, that's all I'm going to play. You want to listen to Lori, you can go watch it on our YouTube channel. You can watch the whole thing, but that's it. Now, let's go to the people who spoke today. First up was Colby Ryan. He has had major health issues, has possible strokes, meningitis. It's just been such a rough week for him. He has more about that on his channel. But Colby Ryan joined via Zoom audio, and this is what Colby said.
It must be a very sad life to smile your way through all the pain you've caused. Rather than being able to acknowledge the pain that she has caused, she would rather say that Charles, Tylee, and JJ's death were a family tragedy and not her evil doing. And I will say this, if you want to see darkness, look at the murdering cult that claims God has commissioned their mission to kill my family and others. Quite frankly, I believe that Lori Vallow herself is the family tragedy.
From Colby, we went to Larry Woodcock, who also joined via Zoom. He was not able to come to the hearing because of a friend's death, but he was joined along with with Susan Vallow, Charles's sister. So I'll play you Larry's statement first, and it was pretty heated.
I hope you spend the rest of your life 23 hours a day regretting your choices, because that's all it was, murderess. It was your choices. You made them. You and your husband, if that's what you want to call him. For what? You murdered Charles. The best thing that was ever in your life. For your delusional, narcissistic way. I will never speak your name again, murderers. You will never get anything out of me again in your life. You are nothing. You are nothing. You killed Tylee. Did you enjoy it? Look at me, Lori. Did you enjoy it? Did you dance around the fire? Like you sent the videos to Chad of you dancing around in your room for him? Did you enjoy it? And then the most precious thing, a 7-year-old autistic, unbelievably God's present to Kay and I, to Todd. Look at Todd. Turn around and look at him, Lori, because that's the last time you're ever going to hear my name out of your mouth. Look at Todd. Have you said you're sorry? You wrapped JJ's hands in tape. You wrapped his arms in tape. You covered his eyes. And you buried him in 8 inches of ground. Murderous!
So after that statement, we heard from Susan Vallow, who spoke about her faith and spoke about Lori.
Charles and I had just started renewing our relationship with each other. One day in 2019 at Kay's house, Charles said to me, "Come see, sis." So I went to see what he wanted. He said, "I'm going to give you a car." And I just about passed out. I told him, I said, "I love you, Charles." He said, "I love you too, sis." And we hugged. And these were the last words we ever spoke to each other. Needless to say, because of your selfish, deliberate, and horrifying actions, this never happened. My brother's love, kindness, and generous nature knew no bounds. He wore his heart on his sleeve. You took all that away from us.
Now, victim impact statements continued. These are statements that are meant to be to the court, to the judge, for the judge to consider. You're not really supposed to address the defendant, which can be hard to do. And some judges are more lenient than others. I know sometimes, though, you have to send in your statements and you can't say this and you can't say that. Some judges are quite particular. The next person to speak was Todd Trahan. This is JJ's biological father. We have not heard from him publicly. He came to town to speak. He told Lori that he forgives her. This is what Todd said.
I trusted y'all with my family, the only son I had, because I couldn't give him the life that y'all could give him. I gave him up for y'all to raise him. I deal with the regret. I've dealt with I've dealt with the torment of making that choice. I'm here today to forgive you. I know what it's like to be in prison. I was in prison when y'all got the rights to my son. I know what it's like. Once you get done with this court and you go sit in that cell, you got to relive everything that you did. I hope for you that you understand the truth of what God did on the cross, because God died not only for me, he died for the unlovable. People that the world thinks shouldn't, they judge. I hope you understand the truth before you die. You still have a chance.
After Todd, we heard from Kresha Trahan, JJ's aunt, Kay's daughter, and this is part of what she said.
Charles, my uncle, and my mother Kay's beloved brother, was so much more than just a relative. He was a cornerstone of our family. I remember his infectious laugh, his corny jokes, his unwavering optimism, and his genuine care for everyone around him. He had a way of making everyone feel seen and valued. I gotta catch my breath. One of my fondest memories is how he was always there for my mother, his sister, Kay. Their bond was incredibly strong, and they supported each other through everything. He was the kind of man who would drop anything to help someone in need.
Then it was time to hear from Kay Woodcock. Imagine being Kay Woodcock. I talked to Kay about 2 or 3 weeks ago. I said, what are you going to say? She goes, I'm not telling people what I'm saying. And she walked up to the victim stand. She wanted to face Lori, I could tell, face to face, but they said, you need to come to the podium. She tried to turn it to face Lori, and they said, you can't do it. Trina Kay said you can't. Again, back to that victim impact statement part. Here's part of what Kay Woodcock said.
Charles is not your husband. Your disgusting co-monster, Chad, is. The Miss Texas pageant, Wheel of Fortune, Extra on Modern Family, July 31st, 2023. What do they all have in common? They're all days that failed to make you famous or idolized. Infamous? Yes, but never famous, never idolized. You spent your entire life chasing cameras, applause, and validation like oxygen, but here you are, exposed, convicted, stripped of the lies you wrapped yourself in. All your interviews, all your attempts to manipulate, triangulate, and control the narrative, even the one released just last night, have failed. The world sees what I saw in 2019 when you abandoned Charles, Colby, Tylee, and JJ to chase that grotesque shadow of a man, Chad Daybell. You call yourself a mother, a wife, a woman of God. You are none of these things. You are a liar, a fraud, and a murderer. Did you think you could charm your way out of this? Do you believe people can't see through the lies? Do you honestly think that you are smarter, holier, or more special than everyone else? You are not. You are an ordinary, plain, run-of-the-mill, middle-aged woman. You keep saying to anyone who will listen that no one understands because they weren't there. So tell me, Lori, what don't we understand? Was it you who shot Charles? Is that why you kept asking during the trial about testing your hands for gunshot residue? Was that your grotesque way of gloating?
Now, after Kay finished speaking, she said that she wanted to read a letter on behalf of JJ. And I don't know who wrote it. I don't know if Kay wrote it or if a bunch of people wrote it and Kay just read it. It was quite a touching letter. Many people were crying in the courtroom. And you can see at the end, Kay just, I don't want to say lost it, but she kind of did. I don't say that in a bad way. Don't take it in a bad way. Her emotions came to her, and then she, this is what happened.
Hi, Judge Bereski. My name is JJ Vallow. I can't be here today to read this letter because I am dead. I was murdered by the defendant, Lori Daybell, or as I used to call her, Mom. See, there are a whole lot of tragedies that have happened to my family, and all of them are the result of my mom's actions. See, my daddy was the first of the dominoes to fall the day he was murdered. everything good in my world started to crumble. Actually, that's not true. It started before then. It started when she met her co-conspirator, Chad. She abandoned me for 72 days in early 2019. My daddy, Charles, was there for every bit of it. He tried so hard to keep me on my schedule. See, I have autism, and that isn't a bad thing. It just means that I needed extra attention and routines, because my brain and my body had more energy than you could ever imagine. I am not a domino that fell in her life. I am Joshua Jackson Vallow. I am the son of Charles Vallow. I should be 13 years old now, but I'm forever 7. The impact of my father's death was my murder. And Judge, it is 13 years today that JJ's adoption was finalized, and they moved him immediately right away to Hawaii. And I hope you remember that. I trusted you!
And after that, Kay sat down and just sobbed. Her brother, Jerry, then approached the podium and had a request for the judge.
This isn't a family tragedy that occurred randomly. It was a deliberate act of evil. This has never been a mission from God. She isn't an instrument in God's hands. She was sleeping with Chad Daybell behind Charles's back while planning his murder. You know what kind of instrument kills a father in cold blood, buries 2 kids in a pet cemetery, and lies through her teeth while doing it? Called a weapon. And God doesn't use weapons against innocence. She wasn't doing God's work. She was selfish, cruel, and calculated. God didn't send her to commit murder. She used his name to justify evil. That's not God's work. That's blasphemy, plain and simple. She used God's name like a weapon, lied in his name, killed in his name, and now she wants to stand in court and she claims she's doing the Lord's work. She's not some misunderstood woman. She's not some grief-stricken mother. She's not a victim of this story. She wrote her own disgusting make-believe story, and she wrote it in blood. She didn't cry for Charles. She didn't mourn JJ or Tylee, no matter what she says. She erased them, and she didn't give a damn about Tammy. So when she sits there and pretends this is some kind of tragic twist of fate, like she didn't like the fuse, remember that. She didn't just kill Charles. She stole him from everyone who loved him, from his boys, from our family, from me. She didn't just break the law. She pissed all over it and tried to claim righteousness. She started this. She caused this. She wasn't caught in some domino effect. She pushed the first one and kept pushing till there was none left standing. She twisted everything, God, family, and loves. And she thinks she can twist justice too? Don't let her.
And those were all the victims who spoke on behalf of Charles. Obviously, his case was first. There was a guilty verdict there, and then it moved on to Brandon Boudreaux's case. And Brandon has had such a strong army of people around him over the past few months, years, I should say, including his new wife who spoke. But before we get to her, I want you to hear from his mom and dad, Teresa and Carlson Boudreaux.
Lori Daybell's cruel criminal behavior, combined with the inhumane actions of those who conspired with her, nearly killed Brandon. Had they been successful, the world would have lost a remarkable, kind, loyal man. As his parents, we would have lost a remarkable son. His children, our grandchildren, would have lost their stabilizing father. Our children, his siblings, would have lost an amazing brother who helps guide our family through his selfless example. Brandon's genuine love and kindness is evident in his interactions with his family and friends. He truly cares for those around him, and his actions speak louder than words. We thank God every day that evil didn't succeed.
Brandon's siblings then each took a turn speaking after his parents did. They spoke about the fear in Brandon's life and all of their lives, really, when Alex was on the loose and right after he had been shot at. They didn't know what was happening. Brandon took his kids. He fled with them to safety. He moved around home to home to home. And he says his siblings just took him in and loved him and cared for his kids along with their kids. First sibling we heard from was his brother Brock.
A few months later, the thing my brother had feared the most happened. Alex had attempted to take his life on the orders of Lori. In that moment, our lives changed forever. We could no longer trust that we were safe. We always wondered if someone was coming for Brandon, not knowing just how far these people were willing to go. We were robbed of our sense of safety because of this. We all felt that we needed to get video cameras around our houses, obtain firearms to protect ourselves, and always be watching over our shoulders. As hard as it was for us as his family, I could see how hard it was for Brandon. He was forced to go into hiding, trying to keep his children and himself safe. The toll this took on him was immense. My once fun, energetic, optimistic brother was now a nervous, sad, distraught shell of a man. Our once fun phone calls about future life plans had turned into updates about the case that was proceeding.
Now, after Brock spoke, Desiree Smoot, his older sister, gave an emotional message to the court. This is what she said.
It is extremely hard for me to explain just how much my brother means to me and how much the decision of Lori Daybell and others to conspire to shoot him on October 2nd, 2019 has impacted my life and my family's life. Nothing prepares you to hear your dad tell you that someone tried to shoot and kill your brother and that they missed him by inches. The shock, anger, helplessness, and fear you feel is unimaginable. Our lives were completely changed after that day. I saw my brother in person a few days after the attempted shooting, and I will never forget that moment. I can still see him today. His face was so full of fear and shock. He couldn't comprehend what had happened to him. He feared for his life and for his children. As an older sister, there's nothing you want more than to protect your brother, and I couldn't do anything.
After Desiree finished her victim impact statement, another sister, kindergarten teacher at the time, who you can tell just loves kids, her name's Danae Boudreaux, she spoke.
My parents raised us in a home filled with love, laughter, and a belief in our Savior, Jesus Christ. I'm lucky to have meaningful relationships with all 5 of my older siblings. As they have been married and had kids, I had the opportunity to find more room in my heart for their spouses and children. Some of my favorite humans in the entire world call me Aunt Nay. I share this to help better demonstrate just how hard it was for me to hear that my older brother had been shot at in October of 2019. Being my oldest brother, I've always looked at him as a protector in a safe space. Hearing the evidence that was presented in this case reminded me just how close I came to losing him that day. As terrified as I was to lose my brother, I could not imagine how devastating it would have been to my nieces and nephews had they lost their dad that day. The greatest impact I feared was what would have happened to those children if something had happened to my brother. Over the coming months, that fear and anxiety for his and their safety was a constant in my life. Being one of the few adults he felt safe leaving his kids with, I spent many hours taking care of my nieces and nephews. I purchased plane tickets and used personal days at work to be able to travel and help care for the kids. I was a kindergarten teacher at the time, and I spent time reading with my niece who was in kindergarten that year. I held my brother's kids close, and I comforted them during times of uncertainty.
Brandon had one other sister who wasn't able to be there. He read a statement on her behalf. Her name is Danielle. I hope I'm saying that right. Danielle or Danielle. This is part of the letter. Brandon actually read the letter on behalf of his sister who couldn't be there.
6 years ago, our world was rocked in ways none of us could have predicted. I am not unfamiliar with the criminal justice system. I worked within it for over 10 years, but it had never touched my life personally until it did 6 years ago. I watched as my brother Brandon had his entire life ripped apart with absolutely no warning. I watched him try to pick up the pieces of a life and family he had built and to try to bandage the broken hearts of his children with oh so many questions, while also navigating his own personal sorrow and heartbreak. I held him and cried with him and offered what little advice I could with all the love my big sister heart could give him. Then just a few months later, while I was 7 months pregnant with my third child and returning home from a doctor visit, I had my husband sit me down on the couch and ever so gently let me know that my brother had just been shot at. You see, my dad hadn't called me. He called my husband to tell him so that he could carefully and gently tell me what had happened. My world as I knew it was shattered. All of a sudden, I was living in a paranoid, anxiety-filled, fear-driven nightmare.
And then before Brandon spoke, his wife spoke. Before Brandon gave his victim impact statement, his wife, Jenny, spoke about all of this. They met at the beginning of all of this. After Brandon divorced from Melanie, they met, and then they were married shortly thereafter. And so she's kind of lived this with him since 2020, 2019. This is what Jenny Boudreaux said.
On October 2nd, 2019, a day that none of us will forget. That morning, Brandon was driving near his newly rented home in Gilbert, Arizona, when a bullet fired by Alex Cox under the direction and planning of Lori Vallow Daybell and other co-conspirators missed his head by merely inches. Just inches. One moment, one shot. A moment that should have taken his life, but didn't. And yet, that near-death experience has forever changed his life and mine. When I met Brandon, I saw a man with one of the biggest hearts I have ever known. But it was a heart that had been bruised deeply and wounded by betrayal from those he trusted most. To be hunted by people who were supposed to love and protect him, his own family, left scars that go far beyond physical danger. It robbed him of a sense of safety. It shattered his ability to fully trust. It forced him to live in fear.
And now it was time for Brandon Boudreaux to address the woman who tried to kill him, to address the woman who was his aunt-in-law, you could say, to address the woman who has caused so much pain and agony in his life over the last 6 years. What would you say? What would you say? I'm one of those people, I would think out every word and I'd rewrite it 12 times and it'd take me 6 months just to write the thing. And then the morning of, I'd go and finally put it together. Anyway, here's part of what Brandon said.
This burden will never go away, but we will learn to deal with it. We can never go back. We can't fix these things. There's no way to make right all the injustice and suffering that we've endured. So my greatest hope is that we can protect others from facing it. I hope those who participated can be removed from a place where they can have a chance to hurt anyone ever again in the future. No one deserves to live a life of fear and trauma. I have friends who stood up and put their lives on hold to help me and my children. I don't know how to convey to you the fear they must have felt to just be involved with me or around me. as others conspired and continued to come looking for me. I can't imagine the impact it had on them after the fact or during, and some of them had to distance themselves to keep their family safe. Finally, this overwhelming toll and conspiracy has had so much effect on those who are called upon to uphold our laws, and to those that I employed to try to protect my family. I would include attorneys, law enforcement, juries, yourself, your staff, all the people who have to deal with this. We've spent countless hours and precious resources from our community's taxes, mine and my family's personal finances, striving to prove exactly what happened, and most importantly, to keep children safe. All of this could have gone to more productive and beneficial things to help others, but it had to be diverted because of selfishness and self-centered conspirations. Your Honor, I'm a believer in forgiveness, and I believe it can be relieving for people to let go of the feelings that I've been describing, to give them away to their Savior, so that there's more room for good feelings and things that can come in this life. I try to practice this. I'm not perfect at it, but I have found relief in it. But I do not believe that this means that we can trust those who commit crimes to continue to have freedom that they had before.
And that was the last of the victim impact statements. Now, Brandon sat down, and then it was time for Trina Kay to give her recommendations. And she took to the podium, and she requested the maximum penalty on each of the charges, and then she said a few more things.
Lori Vallow Daybell, in the jury trial for Charles Vallow, told the jury that the case and murder was about a family tragedy. In her next trial, she told the jury, again in the shooting of Brandon Boudreaux, that this was a tragedy. And while she's been in custody, she has agreed to speak to the media 4 times. And she has again spouted off that this was a family tragedy. A tragedy is a disastrous event, a calamity, a misfortune. Synonyms for tragedy are accident, catastrophe, disaster, misfortune, or mishap. A family tragedy does not involve premeditation. A family tragedy does not involve the intentional killing of a person. A family tragedy does not involve working with an accomplice to commit first-degree premeditated murder. And a family tragedy does not involve conspiring with others to kill. Lori Vallow Daybell has evoked the words family tragedy, but her actions show her to be a cold-blooded murderer. Even more disturbing than Lori Vallow Daybell's attempts to fashion the murder of her husband, Charles Vallow, and the shooting of her nephew-in-law, Brandon Boudreaux, as a tragedy, is the way she has twisted religion and fashioned it as a justification for her actions.
After Trina Kay spoke is when Lori, the judge, turned to Lori and said, "Do you want to say anything?" And I played you a little clip earlier of part of what she said. Again, you can go watch that. She didn't make a sentencing recommendation or anything like that. She simply gave her soliloquy, and now it was time for Judge Bereski to speak. And Judge Bereski, someone just emailed me right now as we're here. Mr. Eaton, could you please post the judge's sentencing statement at the end of today's hearing? It was so profound and touching that the entire statement posted on its own may touch hearts as it touched mine. If possible, I am sure many would appreciate it. Thank you kindly. That's from John in Mansfield, Ohio. I did post his entire statement on our YouTube channel. Here's part of it.
In this day and age where truth seems to matter little to our talking heads on the news and to our politicians, I'm proud that this trial court, and through our jury trials, we draw on the collective wisdom of jurors to determine the truth. As I said in my jury instructions to the jury, it is their job to determine the truth. The defendant spent several minutes talking about statistics and being prevented from presenting her side, and that is not the truth. Maricopa County is a court of innovation. We virtually screened hundreds of jurors, and we kicked off jurors from service that had ever even heard of Lori Vallow. So when she says that she couldn't get a fair trial in Maricopa County, that is not the truth. Your cases involved 24 separate jurors who deliberated and reached verdicts on these two cases. They represent a broad cross-section of society, which means these two verdicts represent the decisions of our community, not the view of a single person, not the view of a single prosecutor, and not the view of a judge. The collective decision-making of juries helps to reduce individual biases and errors in judgment. 12 jurors in the first case unanimously agreed that proof beyond a reasonable doubt established you conspired to kill Charles Vallow. And 12 separate jurors in the second case, again with no prior knowledge of you whatsoever, no knowledge of your notoriety, unanimously agreed you conspired to have Brandon Boudreaux killed. Many people have asked why the state bothered to extradite you and bring you to Arizona, given the sentences that you received in Idaho. Trials are not just about seeking accountability or punishment from those who have committed crimes, but to give the victims of crimes justice and acknowledgement of the impact of being a victim. Justice demands not only recognition of the pain inflicted, but a firm response that upholds the dignity of every victim harmed by the actions of someone who has shown blatant disregard for humanity. You've left a wake of destruction stretching from Louisiana, across Texas, Arizona, up to Idaho and back again. Anytime a person victimizes a single individual, the ripple effects of their actions extend far beyond the immediate harm. And you have not victimized just a single victim, but many. You've shattered lives, you've undermined trust, you've sowed fear in the hearts of many. I can't imagine what Brandon and his family went through for those months, hiding, Charles's family wondering who's next. Is someone coming for them? Jenny said a lot of the things I was already going to say to you, Brandon. I'll just touch on a couple of them. I had wondered during the trial whether you suffer from survivor's guilt, and she confirmed that for me today. I also remember looking at you in the back of the courtroom trial, and just, you have this look about you of a wounded individual. I hope you can heal someday. To Charles's family, I just wanted to share with you that I'm sorry for your loss. Charles seemed like a great all-around guy. One of the exhibits that was put up during the first trial, I noticed something. He and I share the same birthday. So I'll remember him on my birthday. I've seen many, many cases in my career where someone faces a long prison sentence for what amounted to one split-second bad decision. You are not that person. The amount of contemplation, calculation, planning, manipulation that went into these crimes is unparalleled in my career. Your powers of manipulation are profoundly destructive, one that undermines trust, distorts truth, and can erode the very foundations of healthy relationships and society. The impact of your manipulation has been devastating, insidious, and far-reaching, and perhaps still unknown. One can't help but wonder if Alex died as a result of the extraordinary burdens that you placed upon him. No one will ever know. You preyed on the vulnerability of those around you, JJ, Tylee, Alex, Melanie, others. And today I heard about Colby. You specialized in exploiting the empathy and goodwill of others, turning those virtues into tools of control and harm. I think that over time, as a result of being subjected to your manipulation, those people lost their sense of self and their ability to distinguish truth from falsehood. In the face of such profound damage, a long prison sentence is not merely a punishment. It is a necessary affirmation that our society values justice, protection, and the sanctity of human life. You just referenced a Bible verse or a verse recently about the prisoners shall go free. That is not a literal verse. That is a verse about people that accept Jesus can be in prison and they will go free when they die and go to heaven. But it will take an act of God for you to go free. In short, you should never be released from prison. Eventually, the camera that you seek out so much, the media requests, will lessen over time and you'll fade into obscurity.
And with that, Lori Vallow Daybell was done. Court was done. A little surreal, to be honest with you, for me as a reporter. But it's just done. The judge left. Everybody stood up. As Lori went to walk out, Tammy Daybell's aunt, Vicki Hoban, said she couldn't help it. And she said this.
Lori, right in prison. We can't do that. Let's go.
Did you notice that wink from Lori? I don't know if that was just a natural thing for her to wink. I don't know. It was so weird that it happened so quick, but she walked out. And then we all walked out, and we went downstairs, and we waited, and Brandon said a couple words to the camera. It wasn't much of a news conference. A couple people spoke, but I did want to play what Todd said, JJ's father. He came up to the microphone. Kay said a few things, and then JJ's father. Here's what they said.
We are so glad to say our mission is accomplished after 6.5 years of her hell. We're done, and I never have to see her again, talk to her again. She can never call me, and I won't be calling her. And God bless Charles and JJ and Tylee and Tammy, and I thank Lori for being such a stupid criminal. And Chad. This is my son, Todd Trahan. This is JJ's biological dad. And I'll scoot up a little bit more. And he just wanted to say something real quick.
7 life sentences. It's a number of completion. She got what she wanted. I'm going to see him again one day.
And we posted that entire news conference event on our YouTube channel. So that is the sentencing of Lori Vallow Daybell. As I mentioned, within days, she will be on her way to Idaho. I think they have 30 days to transport her. I don't think they want her sticking around here much longer. She will go on her way, and she will head out, and she will be Idaho's inmate again. And that's where she will stay the rest of her life. So I wish I could say more. I don't have more to say about today. Well, I have a lot to say, but I want the victims to speak. I want you to hear from them. And so that is what we will do tonight. But before, and I want to answer your questions. I have a lot of questions that came in tonight and a lot of thoughts that have come in. Before we do that, though, I want to acknowledge and thank newspapers.com, who has been with us over the past few weeks. Since Brandon's trial up until now, they have been a really great sponsor of Courtroom Insider. We thank them, and if you want to go and find some true crime story to binge on newspapers.com, they've got it for you. They're doing a 7-day free trial for new accounts. You can go log on, and newspapers.com, thank you for your support. And I look forward to seeing you at CrimeCon. And Many of you at CrimeCon. If you haven't registered for CrimeCon, newspapers.com will be there. I will be there doing a panel with Colby and Ray Hermosillo, Detective Hermosillo. Oh, by the way, I forgot to mention, those guys were in the courtroom. Kay Woodcock had them stand up. Hermosillo, Ball, Chuck Consitis, and Eric Wheeler, she asked them to stand. They were there, and it was really cool to see them there in the courtroom, along with all of the other people who have done so much to make this happen. Anyway, I'll be at CrimeCon with Hermosillo and Colby Ryan, and also doing a panel with Marcia Clark. You can use the promo code Eaton, E-A-T-O-N, if you want to go to CrimeCon. I don't get paid anything. That just gives you 10% off a standard badge. It will be in Denver, and it will be great to see all of you who are going to CrimeCon, and it will be good to see new people. I'm kind of going to miss seeing all of you who have lined up in court. I got to meet some really incredible people over the past few years, and it's been great to have your support as you've watched every single night. One woman today brought us donuts. I didn't bring the donuts. She brought the donuts. I told Jordan tomorrow we'll have to go get the donuts to celebrate that it's all done. We'll go live in the morning on our YouTube channel, and you can come along with us as we find a new and exciting place to have donuts in Arizona. All right, why don't we have some shout-outs right here. Shout-outs: Linda Williams, Denise Benedict, Glenn Goodrich, Amy Bell, Cheryl Sousa, Helen Irving, Johnny Scott, Karen Welsh, and Vera Campos. Thank you so much. People are watching from all over the place. It blows my mind. Hungary, Scotland, Brazil, Jamestown, Rhode Island, Australia, Grand Junction, Colorado, England, Bournemouth, UK, Georgia, Twin Falls, Idaho. Yay! Poland, Sweden, St. Vincent, the Eastern Caribbean, and Ireland. Awesome. Thank you all so much for watching. I got to give a shout out to the Lunch Lounge. The Casey Martinez owns the Lunch Lounge. She emailed me last time we were in Phoenix for the second trial and said, stop by my place and I'll feed you lunch. Jordan and I went. She wasn't there. They fed us. It was incredible. Such good food. Small business. Love their story. They bought a business that was struggling, overhauled it, and they serve incredible food and great lemonades and drinks, flavored drinks. So good. Well, she wrote again and said, come back. She wasn't there the first time. We went in for lunch today. Great place. Big thanks to the Lunch Lounge. If you're in Phoenix, stop by. They're only open Monday to Friday for the business crowd. They do breakfast and lunch. They close at 2. So go grab some food and you will enjoy it. Now let me get to your questions. Is there a place I can go find out who all of the characters in this case are? I find myself rather confused. You're not alone, especially if you're new. You must be new. We have a place on East Idaho News called the Who's Who, which we might need to update. I don't know when it was last updated. But if you go there, that I can give you a good starting point. We've got a family tree somewhere posted on my Facebook page. I would suggest going there. That might be the best way to help. I'm sorry. I wish I had it here for you. Anyway, I found myself a nervous wreck while Kay read her statement from JJ. Can this not be used for an appeal? Oh, good question. I don't know how it could be, because I think you're saying JJ's not here, and he obviously didn't write that. Maybe, I don't know if that's enough to appeal it. We're in the sentencing phase. She's already been found guilty. So if this were maybe earlier on in the phase, before she was found guilty, maybe there could be an issue, but I don't foresee it being that big of an appellate issue. Do you think Lori will appeal? I do. I think they will, and I think she has 20 days, the judge said. So yeah, I think she's going to appeal. I think that will be standard, by the way. I don't think she still thinks she deserves a new trial. She still thinks that she was robbed of justice. At least she says she thinks that. But she wants so bad to go back to Idaho. So I don't know why she's fighting it so much. That's the question. What surprised you most today? Oh, good question. I think how emotional it was. I've covered sentencings before. I have. I covered the ones in Idaho with Chad and Lori, and today was very emotional, and it was I think that's what surprised me the most. Just it was emotional, and it hit me harder than I thought it might. What victim impact statement impacted you the most? Oh, parts of each one. I was thinking when Brandon's siblings read, I've got 4 siblings, 2 brothers and 2 sisters. They all live near each other. Well, most of them live near each other, near my parents. And I was thinking, if I was in this circumstance where I needed to take my kids, or I felt I needed to, flee to safety with my kids, I'd go to them. And I'd probably do what Brandon did. I'd move around. And I think about them testifying if my wife's aunt tried to kill me with her husband and her dead uncle. I just can't imagine being in their shoes. Kay's statement was quite touching. Larry's, the letter that I mentioned, Brandon, of course, all of them were pretty moving. Who yelled at Lori as she left the courtroom? That was Vicky Hoban, her Tammy's aunt, who came every day to Chad's trial. She was there. Why wasn't Colby in court? Colby had a mini stroke, they think, but maybe not anymore. Maybe it was meningitis. He's just had some real serious health issues. And thinking about Colby, praying for Colby, wishing him the best here. There is a GoFundMe if you're interested in doing that. I tweeted it. It's on my Twitter. You can find it. I don't have the link handy with me right now, but if you wanted to help him out, you can go check that out, and I know they'd appreciate it. At whom did serial killer Lori wink at as she exited the courtroom? The same aunt. The same aunt. Nate, will you please paint us a picture of the audience members in the courtroom? Were they emotional? Were many people there? Yeah, it was packed. People started lining up last night around 5. And, every seat was taken. Media row was mostly full, but for other media that weren't there, other people in public sat there. People were emotional. People were crying. There were regulars that came to a lot of days of the trial, not only in Idaho, but here in Arizona. And then there were brand new people that had never come before. So it was kind of a mix. It was emotional, and people just, I think, wanted to be there. Why no death penalty in these cases? Because it's not a first-degree murder charge. It actually has to be first-degree murder, capital offense. Had Lori actually pulled the trigger and killed Charles, or Brandon had died, and it was she actually did it, and they had proof of that, they probably could have gone for death penalty, or not. But that would have justified. Conspiracy to commit murder doesn't qualify for death penalty with aggravating factors. Why hasn't Charles' sons spoken? I don't know. They've been quiet through this whole thing. I think they've moved on with life. I've spoken with them a few times over the years. It has been some time, but I think that they're ready to be done. They're ready to be done. What has changed me, Nate? What's changed you the most during these cases over the last 6 years? Oh man, I don't know. I have been able to spend off-camera time talking with a lot of these people. Stuff that I've never reported, stuff that I've just kept in my head and in my heart. I've been able to see different sides of many, many people associated with the case, the detectives, the family members, the court officials in some cases, and I see how this has affected all of them. And it's real people behind all this stuff. So that's it. How did Brandon meet his new wife? They met at a wedding, actually. Brandon's friend was getting married after he had divorced Melanie. He went to the wedding. They met there, and I won't say much more. That's Brandon's story to tell, but that's how they met. Does Brandon still have to share custody? Yes, they have the kids 50-50. The defense seemed to be very disrespectful today, laughing, talking, and giggling. Did you see that? I did not. I was on the back row and focused on what was being said. That sounds typical for Lori to be like that. I hate to say it, but that's kind of how she is. Can family bring civil cases now against Melanie? Could they bring it against Lori at this point? Civil cases. I don't know what you mean about civil cases. If, like, sue Melanie, they could if there's a reason to sue, and they could sue. I guess Charles' family could sue Lori civilly, kind of like with O.J. Simpson and others. They could sue civilly. I don't know if they will. Maybe they will. She doesn't have any money, but Judge Bereski did say he gave her the maximum fines and penalties to say, in case you ever do make money, which you can't, you're paying these fines. And I think it was 200-something thousand. It's like 6 figures. Do you think we'll hear from Chad? He writes books after all. I don't know if we'll hear from Chad. Maybe we will. I doubt it. Maybe we won't. I don't know. We'll see. We'll see if he says anything. I personally don't think he ever will. I think that he would have by now, or maybe down the line, many, many years from now he could, but we'll see. That's it for questions. Thank you for being here on Courtroom Insider. We may have some programming early next week. I'm staying in Phoenix a few more days to try to maybe get some other additional interviews from people who haven't spoken or who want to speak. I'll keep it vague at that. If we do have programming, I'll be back Monday night from Idaho with those interviews, and maybe Tuesday. And then next Thursday, we'll be back for Courtroom Insider every Thursday. Well, I should say most Thursdays going forward. This Courtroom Insider isn't over. Now that the trial's over, the cases are over, it's not over. I want to make it bigger and better. And I hope you'll watch, and we'll talk about different cases and different things and true crime. And holy smokes, have you seen the docuseries on Netflix about the girl who vanishes on the cruise? I just started it on the flight yesterday. She's from Richmond, Virginia, Chesterfield, right where I used to live. Anyway, we'll talk about stuff like that. And here's how you can keep up with me. I'm on YouTube right there. I also have Meet the Eatons. That's our family channel. My family's so excited for me to go home. And it'll be nice to be home. Well, I'm also on X, Facebook, and Instagram. You can follow me there. And I want to thank you so much for watching tonight and for supporting East Idaho News, for supporting me. And tonight, before we go, I want to remember the 4 people who were lost over the past years. The reason why we're here, unfortunately: Charles Vallow, Tammy Daybell, JJ Vallow, Tylee Ryan, and fortunately, Brandon Boudreaux. We did not leave, but he is here. And today, he obtained justice. Thank you for watching Courtroom Insider. I'm Nate Eaton. Have a good night.